the law enforcing authorities or the people who legislate, who also, supposed to protect our democracy, if they are not functioning, then isn't it right for the people to come on the road and make them aware that, Baba, you are not doing your duties, you have to do it?
And make them function. But
yeah,
to say
Anna never said that we are going to legislate. Anna said that this is a legislation we want. He went for the meeting. Everybody went for the meeting. Even now they are going before the standing committee. They are not, totally denying the whole system.
First demand, which was accepted by Arvind, though he also conceded that perhaps it was wrong. First demand that was made when Anna was on hunger strike, and which worried us, that we will only break the hunger strike if the government accepts the Jan Lokpal bill and gives us an undertaking in writing that they will issue a whip that this bill will be passed without change, and that if the government wants to make one or two changes...
That in the agitation you have to try all these things.
No, see, the point is what is strategy and what is correct is a separate issue. If you are asking me to respond to what actually is the status of that demand. Yeah. Number two, after that, what they are saying, for example, this whole thing that happened in Hisar, let every party give us in writing that they will bring the Jan Lokpal bill, not a Lokpal bill. Now, what does that mean? That means their version of the bill must be accepted without question by political parties. What are you asking? Parliament suspend your judgment. We said to them in public debates, I said, look, give Parliament a chance. Suppose tomorrow it enacts a weak bill, as it did in the Freedom of Information. I don't know if you know this. In 2002, the Parliament passed a Freedom of Information bill, which got presidential assent, which is a very weak bill. We didn't give up our fight. We got them to bring in the 2005 a right to information. I said, suppose they come up with a weak bill. I said, you make place, we'll come and join you here and we'll fight with you. But you can't assume that the Parliament is useless. And frankly, whatever you might say, it's a very populist thing to say they're all corrupt, this, that. Parliament also has some remarkable people. There are people who won elections five times. There are people who have the mandate of the populace. What makes you and I spokesperson of the people while people who have actually been elected? There are crooks. But are they not crooks in the media? Are they not crooks among the activists?
Yeah, that's true. But one more thing, besides this, do you have anything else against India, against corruption? Because now so many things are exposed, like Kiran Bedi, basically, paying only 25% of economic class and taking 100% of executive class. That kind of corruption which was called and that was exposed, money which came for India against corruption has been transferred to Arvind Kejriwal's trust, all such kind of things, where you doubt their integrity?
See, let me first of all make a distinction. The charges against the Bhushans, to my mind, were bunkum. We gave public statements and have been proved so. I mean, the matter is done.
Yeah, that matter is over. Okay.
There are two sorts of charges against Arvind. One is that he diverted all the money to the thing. Right from the beginning, Arvind has been saying that as India against corruption doesn't have a bank account, all the money that's coming from India is being put into the PSCRF. So I don't see any problem with that, and if that is audited and spent well, I don't see it as a problem. I think people are just raising it. They've talked about Arvind owing 9.5 lakhs to the government, which he has paid. But there's no corruption in that.
Yeah, there's no corruption.
So Arvind's case or Prashant's case is entirely different. Now let's come to Kiran Bedi's case. First of all, I would say that I don't think what Kiran Bedi did amounted to that sort of corruption that a lot of other people do. It was not out and out taking bribes, etc. But I think it was a wrongdoing.
Maybe it was not a bribe, but it was a corrupt practice.
It was a fraud of a certain type, to put it this way.
Though you are putting it more strongly than me.
But I don't think it's the same sort of evil as high-level corruption. I think where, if you ask my humble opinion, where the system went wrong was that the justifications given were totally untenable. I would go with India against corruption when they say that, okay, only the saints are allowed to fight against corruption. My saying has always been that if you say that people who are a part of the problem cannot be a part of the solution, then 99% of the country goes out of the system. Okay. So I don't have a problem with people, but I'm just saying have the humility to say, after all, Gandhiji also said this, yes, I made a mistake. It was wrong. It's something I'm ashamed of this. But I'm going to learn from it. But to say, what is wrong with it? That's where I think problem came. But I don't feel that I have the right to tell India Against Corruption how to run their campaign. I do agree with them on this, that just because somebody has done something wrong doesn't mean that he or she cannot be a part of the anti-corruption movement. So I don't have a problem with that.
Okay. But Mr. Shekhar, do you also think that, okay, so many NGOs are springing up everywhere, and slowly NGO is also becoming a business for some people?
It's always been. You see, we are a very entrepreneurial nation.
Okay.
And therefore, there is nothing under the sun. Isn't journalism a business? Everything is a business. But we also must realize that in that morass...
No, I'm saying business by taking people on for a royal ride.
Sure.
And then people believe in you, people trust you. And suddenly when something comes out, then you realize that what is this happening? And it becomes a total disappointment.
See, there's another problem, which everybody who comes up in a movement, for example, the RTI movement, when we asked for people's support for the RTI Act, people had a lot of expectations. They felt once the law comes in, within 2-3 years, all corruption will stop. It didn't happen. I have people coming up and saying, "Here, what happened?" I said, "Do you think some progress has been made?" "Yes, but we're waiting." I said, "That's it. Life doesn't change overnight. If it was so simple." So it is true that in all movements, there is bound to be this problem. There is a problem of perceptions versus reality. There are two differences here. IAC, I don't think, is a dishonest movement. IAC is a movement which has integrity. It has people who have integrity. Yes, like all other movements, there will be people who will expect much more from IAC than they will get.
Yeah.
But that is bound to happen. But there are also movements, IAC is not one of them, which are out and out corrupt, which are out and out foolish. I don't apologize for us as a result of that, because in every profession there are crooks. We just have to make sure that we are not one of them.
But still, I'm asking you again, should NGOs be run like a business, or it should be a little different model than business model?
Absolutely. I don't think, for example, NGOs should not run for profit. And believe me, I don't think the IAC is run for profit. I mean, I might have differences with them, but I'm not foolish.
No, looks like Kiran Bedi's organization runs as a business.
No, I think that's overstating it. You see, unless we have proof for it, the point is, to my mind, she was wrong in getting this money for her NGO the way she got it. But it would have been business if she was then taking dividends out of it, you see. That is not happening. If she was running a business, then this would be a profit. So I think that's going too far. But I would certainly say that I think it was bad judgment on her part. What was worse judgment was the sort of defense she came up with. If she had said, I would have said, fair enough, yeah, look, none of us have not made mistakes in our lives.
But do you think that this is what is happening? Okay, big corruption should not happen, but small corruption is allowed, and even I can do it?
No. Nobody is saying allowed. But even in big corruption, if a person says, I'm wrong, I'll face my punishment and I'll change, I will accept that. What are you saying? Are you saying that if you made a mistake once, you should be dropped into the Bay of Bengal and forgotten? I mean, that's not. I am not saying that therefore everybody should do that. That's why I'm saying it's wrong, bad judgment.
It's not once, or we don't know for how many times. Only one case
on the
has come.
basis of what we know, suppose it's 10 times, and suppose the actual criminal act is established, I think she should be prosecuted.
Got it. You are in RTI movement for so long now, and RTI was basically used as a very, it's still being used as a very powerful tool, for against corruption or against wrong practices or everything, basically. Slowly, RTI is also becoming a business. It is being used for blackmailing. What do you have to say about that?
See, first of all, when you say slowly it is becoming a business, this impression gets created that every day that component of RTI is growing. That's not true. There is certainly, right from the beginning, a component where certain people misuse the RTI. I'd like to say there is no law under the sun which is not misused. What we have to ask ourselves is how much that misuse is. The percentage is very small. Last year, I don't know if you know this, between 6 and 8 million RTIs were filed in India. I would say that I challenge you that not even 0.00001% would be blackmail RTIs. Number two, you cannot blackmail somebody unless he or she has something to hide.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
So I am not terribly worried about protecting the crooks who are saying that we were crooked but now we are being blackmailed. Stop being crooked. Number three, we have also suggested way outs. For example, we suggested to every government, every time an RTI is filed, you give a reply to the person, barring privacy matters, put it on the website. Then you can't blackmail. Suppose I get some information about you which is sensitive, but it's
So
also on the
transparency
website.
can solve this problem.
Absolutely. So you put it up. We've said that blackmail will stop because you.
So do we require some more amendments to the existing RTI Act
You
to
don't
take
need
care
to.
of all these
No,
things?
you don't need amendments to the Act. There's nothing in the Act which
Or maybe
prevents.
rules.
Yeah, there's nothing in the Act which prevents. You just require the political will.
Yeah.
See, rules, acts only help so far. If the government wants to do it, there is nothing barring them from putting it out. You can do it today. I mean, in fact, Bihar is now beginning to start doing that, saying, okay, let us put out everything. See, there are many advantages. One is the blackmail. Second is, suppose I want to find out something. Without first filing the RTI, I can go and see, look, has somebody else filed that RTI? That answer is already there. So government will find it doesn't have to keep answering the same question again.
Okay.
Suppose I still file the RTI, the government can simply say, thank you very much, we've already answered that question, such and such website, here's the link. If you want a copy, send us 10 rupees, we'll send you a copy. So there are great advantages, and that will finish blackmailing and make it almost zero. Some amount of misuse will continue, but the day you point out a law to me which cannot and is not being misused, I will answer your question. Otherwise, it doesn't matter.
Just to end this whole thing, looks like basically you are conceptually neither against the India against corruption movement or of course RTI, you are part of it. Ultimately all these things basically are very strong tools in our hands to curb corruption, and that is required. But corruption is just not at high level or for among those who rule. Basically corruption is a two-way process, it's relative. So in what way also you would like to tell the viewers basically to curb corruption, what is required at this stage? Just one law, or just RTI, just Lokpal, just Lokayukt, or something much more than that?
No, you see, laws don't change.
I'm saying it from the point of view of us,
Yeah.
the citizens.
See, laws have a limited efficacy unless people feel empowered by that law. Now, I'll give you a simple example. There are two types of corruption in that way. I might have to pay a bribe for something which was my right, but I'm not getting. There, my vulnerability, my negativity is almost nil. Suppose I take my child to the hospital, she's very ill, and the doctors say that unless you pay a bribe, we won't look after her. And if I pay the bribe, how am I to blame? So those people is one part. But there are other people who pay a bribe to get something which is not due to them. We have to make it a social movement. Today what happens is we are indiscriminate. We don't mind if our friends are corrupt. We don't mind if they pay bribes. We don't mind if there are facilities which are built on the basis of bribery. We'll participate. We've got to build up. You know what?
And I pay the TC in the railway to get a berth by paying him extra.
No, but why? You see, if it was your right, you shouldn't. And if it wasn't your right, then you should say, look, let me bear the
No,
cost.
it happens also because there are 5 passengers and there are only 2 berths.
Yeah, this is again the supply-demand situation.
Yes.
See, some of this situation will change as the economic situation changes. But let's forget that. Let us simply say, unless you are willing to sacrifice a little bit ourselves to have a more honest India, you can make as many laws as you like not. Now that sacrifice should be helped along by a certain amount of social boycott. What did Gandhiji do? He said, let's boycott all the textiles from UK.
Right.
Today we have to do that again. Let's boycott everybody who uses bribes to get what is not rightfully theirs. That is how the change will come.
Mr. Shekhar, I think that is the most important thing you have said, and more than sacrifice, I would say it is basically a duty of every citizen. And if we know our duty and if we do our duty, then most of these problems will not occur. Ultimately, politicians or anybody will take money if we give it. Okay, so it starts from us and not from them. Thank you very much for enlightening us about this other side of the coin also. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much. Real pleasure.
Thanks.